There it is at 6.
Okay. Okay, good evening, everyone. Today is July 9th, 2020, and we are convening a special meeting of the Cuyahoga Heights Board of Education. Mr. Muccio, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Etter,
Present.
Mrs. Schukert,
Here.
Mr. Suchaki,
Here,
Mr. Naaman, Mr. Naaman, is he muted? Okay, he's not present. Mr. Dobbins,
Present. 4 present, 1 absent, we believe temporarily. On behalf of the board, I'd like to welcome all students, staff, parents, and interested community members to today's Board of Education meeting. The Ohio Legislature passed House Bill 197 in response to the COVID-19 public health crisis. That bill grants permissive authority to define state and local public bodies to hold public meetings by way of teleconference or video conference until December 1, 2020, or during the period of the COVID-19 emergency, whichever occurs first. In order to hold such meetings, the public body must meet the qualifications established in the bill related to providing adequate public notice, methods of public participation, and distribution of information and materials. The board believes that it has satisfied all of HB 197's criteria to hold today's meeting by teleconference or video conference. A copy of the board meeting agenda is available to review on our school district's website. Would you join me in reciting a pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
yes, you may.
Okay, Mr. Suchaki moves. I'll second.
Oh.
Ms. Suchaki, Mrs. Schukert seconds. Any discussion? None. Mr. Muccio, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Suchaki,
Aye,
Mrs. Schukert,
Aye.
Mrs. Etter,
Aye.
Mr. Naaman. Okay, Mr. Dobbins,
Aye. The motion passes 4-0. Comments from the public. The board values and encourages public comment on education issues and is now asking the public to email comments that it might have otherwise provided during the public comments portion of this meeting to the following email address, info@cuyhts.org. The board will strive to respond to all comments received as promptly as possible. With that, I turn it over to Mr. Evans.
All right. Superintendent's Business Employment of Certified Staff. A, motion to approve the employment of Nathaniel Brick as a middle school teacher per the adopted salary schedule. BA Step 3 on a 1-year limited contract for 2020-21 school year, contingent upon satisfactory completion of BCI FBI check and proper certification. I asked for that, and you'll see that Nate's application was attached there today. So I asked for approval.
Okay, very good. There is no other business that I see tonight, so may I have a motion for approval of the superintendent's consent agenda?
So moved.
Okay, Ms. Schukert moves.
Second.
I'll second. Any discussion?
Yeah, just and I know Mr. Young's out here online too, because he was involved in the interviewing process. And when Mr. Young brought Nate to me, just a little bit about Nate. Nate's one of those. He's a Cuyahoga Heights story. He started as a tuition student, lived in Newburgh Heights, went to the community school in Newburgh Heights, started as a tuition student at Cuyahoga Heights. Then they moved into Brooklyn Heights, graduated, and went to college. Kind of worked his way through college and volunteered as with the basketball program and Mr. Tartera, and I think with the baseball program a little bit off and on, and got out and got his first job at Maple Heights. And great story behind that, because when Charlie Keenan, the superintendent at Maple Heights, interviewed Nate, he immediately called me and made me promise to him that I wasn't going to steal Nate before the school year started. that he wanted to hire him and he was outstanding and didn't want to know why I wasn't gonna. I said we weren't hiring anybody that time, Charlie. So literally had to promise Charlie Keenan that I wouldn't hire Nate between that time and the start of the school year that year. Worked his first year at Maple Heights, and then Mike Janitovich was over at Aurora, and Nate applied over there, and Mike hired him over there, and Mike knew him. Mike had Nate in class, and then when Mike came over here, Nathan was obviously interested in coming back home to Cuyahoga Heights, and I will say that Mr. Young told me today that they had 4 outstanding candidates that they interviewed. And for Nate to come out of that group was really kind of special. And George, I think, made the comment that out of all the interviews that he's been in on, he hasn't seen, that high quality 4 candidates for a position of that, nature. Just thought of some of the best candidates we've seen in a long, long time, which is very good. We get good candidates. So that's just really makes me feel good that, we're a place that people are really want to come to and want to be a part of us. And I know that, we talked a little bit earlier and when we hired the guidance counselor away from Brecksville, she told me that the principal's comment to her was that you're going to enjoy working at Cuyahoga Heights with Tom Evans and that crew. So that was that's a good feeling to have that people really want to be part of your system. So, I submit Nate Brick for approval. Any questions, Nate? I'm sorry.
Is he going to be teaching both social studies and language arts?
Yeah, they're going to look at the schedule. He can do both. They're figuring that out. Mr. Janitovich will be back from vacation next week, and Mr. Young and I talked about that a little bit. There's a couple different moves they can make to spread those kids out a little bit. So I don't want to say that's etched in stone because Mike's on vacation, and but they'll hammer that out when he gets back.
Before we move to a vote, did I see that Mr. Naaman has joined the meeting?
He can't hear us.
I think can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, we got you, Joe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got on my cell phones for some reason. I'm in Menor and my phone doesn't work. It wasn't calling in, so. But I think I'm on now, so I think we're good.
Okay, well, if the minutes would show that Mr. Naaman joined the meeting. Mr. Naaman, we were just having a discussion about the only significant item of business tonight, which was the hiring of a 6th grade teacher. Mr. Evans said, did you hear Mr. Evans' summary?
I just heard the last couple words. That's about it.
Okay. Well, I don't know that Mr. Evans needs to repeat the many favorable comments he had about the quality and caliber of all the candidates that applied, and the candidate that he's that we're considering tonight rose to the top of that group. Do you have any specific questions or comments, Mr. Naaman, for Mr. Evans tonight or Mr. Young?
No, I reviewed actually the resume too, and actually it looks like a very qualified candidate. So I agree.
Okay.
No,
Okay. Well, if there's no further comments or discussion on this matter, we should probably move to a vote. And Mr. Naaman, would you be comfortable participating in this vote?
yes, I would.
Okay, great. Mr. Muccio, call the roll, please.
Mrs. Schukert,
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins,
Aye.
Mrs. Etter,
Aye.
Mr. Suchaki,
Aye.
Mr. Naaman.
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0. Let's move forward then to I guess it's board discussion, but it's probably more in Mr. Evans' court, the restart plan.
Well, I'll start and then I'll let Mrs. Schukert and Mr. Naaman chime in. We've got 4 different work groups set up and a lot of work going on right now. And I think we're kind of whittling things away a little bit. A lot of conversations, a lot of anxiety by everybody involved with the coming back to school. And I said to one group yesterday, I said, we went through the same thing in March. The difference was we had 3 days, so there was no time to be anxious about it. Right now, it's kind of the amoeba that keeps changing shape on us from day to day. So we're trying to whittle some things down, trying to work through some plans. I know Mr. Naaman and Mrs. Schukert are part of the the group with Mr. Young working on what is our delivery method going to look like. So I'll let them chime in if they would like to at this point.
I would just say, like, I'm really honored to be part of the committee, the couple committees that I'm on. I love the leadership team and the staff members. They just show so much passion for students. And I'm so glad, again, just being a parent in the district, I could not ask for better people making these tough decisions for our kids at this point, and how they're going to be educated and what it's going to look like. I think, there's so much that the committee is looking at, but I know that behind the scenes, like our administrative team is just, looking at every possibility. I know teachers that are trying to prepare how to get education across in many different avenues. And I feel really good about our team, and what it's going to look like in the fall, no matter what. Like, I feel confident. So I thank you guys.
Mr.
Yeah,
Naaman?
actually, yes, actually, I couldn't have said it any better. I think they really well up me. Thank you to everybody too, and for all the teams that are involved in the process of everybody back to school, because there's that are meeting. I think I feel very comfortable with what we have accomplished through our committee too. And I think that it's the group of people that brought together in a situation where we have so many moving parts, like just said. I think that there's so much information that was gathered in all different perspectives of actually making the best decision. And I know that work will come to that decision too. So I feel very comfortable with the leadership and actually everybody involved in the group as well. So I have comments that you have.
One of the things that in those of us in education kind of get this a little bit, but the governor makes an announcement on a Thursday before a holiday weekend in the month of July, and traditionally a lot of educators aren't around in the month of July, so and have to be ready for an August start. And people don't really sympathize with teachers, but I will tell you that the teachers and everybody that has stepped up to be volunteer on this committee, and many parents reached out to want to be on this committee, and we've had outstanding input. I'm working on some of the logistics, and one of the parents is a nurse, and she brought some really pertinent medical information to the table that really kind of made me look at things a little bit differently on some things that we're going to put together. And that's invaluable that we get that kind of not only support, but input that allows us to make a better decision down the road for everybody involved. And I think we did the right thing by waiting until the governor came out with some things. I know a lot of districts were backpedaling and reshuffling and tearing plans up and everything else at this point in time, but we're getting to where we need to get to, and a lot of great conversations going on. And I've tried to peek in and out of them. I told Mrs. Schukert I had to step out because I can't keep them straight right now. There's so many, but they all have to kind of work together at some point in time, because the educational the group that's looking at the schedule has to know what kind of physical things we're going to put in place in the building and to make things happen, along with in the socio-emotional group. Where does that fit into the educational part of it? So while we're talking about issues, we got to start bringing that together and putting that into a plan. And I'm gonna meet with Jim Whistler online tomorrow, and I've got another district's format for a plan that I really like, that to see if we can't start plugging that in as a little bit of a template and going from there. But I just want to thank the board, thank everybody that's kind of stepped in and been a part of this. So the one thing I will tell you right now is that one of the things that has come up is that, and I'll put it in my Friday update tomorrow, is that we're probably going to look to bump the start of the school year back by about 3 days. We were going to start on that Wednesday, the 19th. With what we're doing right now, we're probably going to need that additional professional development with the staff, a full 5 days, because it's going to be 1 day of just talking about the plan and what that looks like. There's going to be some days for them to figure out how that schedule is going to work for them, and then classroom setup. So, but that will not affect the end of the school year. So I'll get that to you in the Friday update. But I will be asking at the end of the last meeting in July for that, so we can get that out to parents. It really I think we'll shuffle around some of those middle of the year professional development days and still end the year when we need to. We don't have an issue with the number of hours in our district, so we're plenty hours above and beyond. And actually, some of the things that are going to come out of this are make some other things down the road doable that we never did before. And one of the things that just kind of came to light as we're talking about this is that with some of the remote learning and online learning, if we have quote unquote a snow day, we can still make that a learning day, and not necessarily have to call it a calamity day, because if there's work assigned and the students are doing remote learning from home, we can still count those hours. There's ways to do that. So it really is kind of opened up a lot of doors, just some great conversations. And for us, especially with where we're at right now, we know that there's a lot of social emotional things that we need to address, and the way they're going about that, I think we're going to be in a very, very good place. And I can't thank that group enough for their input in this, and it's ongoing. And I get a little bit nervous sometimes because a lot of people are on vacation. I'm constantly bugging them, but we'll get it done here. So I appreciate that. And can I answer any questions about the process or where we're going or anything along that line?
Quite honestly, I was surprised that you think that there's only going to be a 3-day delay in the start of the school year. I thought we might need more time.
Well, some districts are looking at it. I think that my first initial spin on that is we've been out of school for 6 months. I want to get kids back in the building. And what is that? And, our staff's just amazing when it comes to catching on to professional development things. They do things in a day that other staffs can't get done in a month or a semester sometimes. And I have a lot of confidence that because it's not just the teachers, the unions involved in this, and this is everybody pulling in the same direction. And I got to tell you, I've been on some of these conferences with superintendents. I was on one yesterday, and 3 superintendents, all they're doing is fighting with their union right now. And they can't make any traction because they won't do this, they won't do that. And our people are getting together and they're saying what's best for our kids, what's safest for our teachers, because that's key to it. And it's everybody saying, we know what the goal is. Everybody's goal is the same in this. And it's incredible. It really is incredible. So fun to be a part of.
Well, thanks to everyone who's participating on the work groups and in this entire effort. Mr. Young, I sent you that email over the weekend, the survey that you did, and the number of responses and the quality of the responses. Really, as I say, it really brought home to me how important people and how strongly they feel about a quality education for their children. And I fully appreciate, and well, maybe not as much as the people that are in the trenches, but I certainly have a much greater feel for the significance of the issues that everyone, including the staff, are confronting. So thanks for doing that and getting people involved. I think that's one of the initial first steps that was needed.
He's just warming up, Mr. Dobbins.
I like data, and I know he does too. Great. If there's no other, well, we can only conduct this type of business that's on the agenda, but unless there's anything that's relevant or pertinent to what we've been discussing, I don't have anything else. Does anyone else have anything for the group?
I'm sorry. One more thing, Mr. Dobbins, and it just popped into my head. Graduation is the 19th, and somebody asked. I'll get some specific information. We're going to start at the senior walk's going to take place at 9:30. It's all going to be outside in the stadium. All board members will be seated on the track. If you've got your gown in my office, I would ask that you probably get that by 9, or my office will be open. Because I'll be out and about helping make sure things are set up, because we're going to temperature check everybody on the way in, and everybody's going to have to be in a mask. But you will be seated on the track behind the podium where we'll run the graduation from. So the seniors are going to. Yeah.
I was going to say, just a thought in this. I'm thinking July, the heat, all that good stuff. But just something to share, and people taking temperatures might know way more, but I took my kids to the doctor's the other day, and Cole on the way there was sitting in the sun in the car. And so he registered a temperature, low grade. It was 100 or whatever. And the woman was like, you know what, we'll give it a couple minutes. We'll retake it. And then it was normal. So I don't know if there's like a station or whatever in the shade where just something to be considered.
That's a great point. And actually, I hadn't thought about that until one of the parents in my work group we were talking about checking staff members' temperatures and student temperatures. In the comment she made to me, you can't do it right when they're coming off the bus, depending on what the weather is. So I'm going to kind of consult with her and see. I'm hopefully if we get people right when they're coming out of an air-conditioned car. And another method of my madness is we're starting this at 9:30 in the morning with the senior walk with the graduation at 10, because I think the sun's not going to be over the top of the building by that time. So, we can by 11 o'clock, it's going to be creeping. And actually the sun will be in the face of the parents on the field because the students will be in the stands. It'll be at their backs. So, but I really anticipate us being done well before 11 o'clock, and then the parade can start and everybody's out of there before the heat of the day really kind of cranks up on us. And I've been up early, but outside of this morning, the mornings haven't been too bad. Afternoons are getting ridiculous, but this morning was one of those ugly mornings. But I stopped by Mrs. Schuker's house and do a couple cannonballs before I came in this morning. But I had an early meeting, so.
I hate to be a naysayer, but what if the weather is like rainy and thunderstorm or?
We will, if it's that severe, we'll just cancel it because we've already done the virtual and that's being completed at this point in time. And what we'll do is we'll probably open up the lobby, the auditorium doors, and let the students come through and pick up their diplomas at that time, but we won't do a ceremony.
Okay.
So Tom,
It's not gonna rain, Maria. It's not gonna rain.
Yeah.
I just,
No, you're right. You're right.
negative Nelly came out. Sorry.
I tell people it never rains at Heights High.
so Tom, what time do you want the board members at the ceremony, and where you want us on the field at what time, or
I'm on the field by about 9:45 because they're going to do the senior walk at 9:30, and they will go through the high school, middle school, then the elementary, and we're going to walk them down the back hill, and down the west side of the track, and then they're going to come down the 50-yard line in between where the parents are seated, and then up into the bleachers. So.
Oh, so
okay,
cool.
so no later than 9:45.
Correct.
On the field. Okay, great. Well, appreciate the update. Thank you.
And Tom, anything we can help with? I mean, I think that goes without being said, but if you need bodies taking temperatures or whatever, like
this is this is our first time doing it outdoors, and we're not doing a practice with it just because of the way things have kind of rolled out here. The class advisors, Becky Wojtek and Desiree Sally, have been fantastic. Danny Connors has been a huge help. Jim Zerbola, the maintenance, is just a pleasure to work with. He doesn't come in and give me 1,000 reasons why we can't do something. He finds a way to get things done, and I appreciate that. So,
Absolutely.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, if there's no other business, then I guess we could take a motion to adjourn.
Just like to welcome Nate Brick to our staff. Just wanted to throw that in there before we end.
thank you.
Welcome. Well, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Can I get a second?
second.
I'll second.